Hey guys, my name is Emily and welcome to the channel. Today I'll be doing a speed build renovation of Streamlet Single. So this is my first ever speed build, and I have gained a lot of appreciation for editing software and microphones today that I never had before. I've always watched a lot of YouTube videos, especially a lot of speed builds, but I've never realized how much work actually goes into creating one. In fact, this is the second time recording this audio for this video. I feel a little more confident now than I did the first time, so this might go a little bit better. So I'm renovating the Streamlet Single house that is in Willow Creek. I tried to stay to base game items for this house since the house is in a base game world. However, I did deviate a little bit from that. I used a couple items from the pets pack as well as from the laundry day pack because I wanted to have a laundry room in this house. Of course, you can change that if you want to. If you download it, it'll only be a couple items that are missing and they'll be easy to replace. So this house is definitely compatible with base game players. So right now I'm kind of working out this roof. This roof was a lot of trouble for me. I kept thinking the front of the house just looked a little too bland, although to begin with I was going more towards a starter home. The house ends up being around 40,000 simoleons, so it is not a starter by any means. However, I didn't add too much to the front of the house because I was trying to keep that price down. Simmer that I watch here on YouTube, Simlissy, she has talked before in her videos about how clutter items and decoration items cost a lot of money in The Sims. And I've never really noticed that when I'm creating my own houses until today. I definitely noticed it when I was trying to keep under budget for this house. I wasn't able to do a lot of the things that I wish I could have done. So this house is by no means my favorite house that I've ever built, but I was having a lot of fun just playing around with editing software as well as recording software. So this house is more of just kind of like a play test, if you will, of this new YouTube thing that I'm doing. So I hope that it went well and I hope you guys enjoy it. Right now I'm still working on this roof. This roof just gave me so much trouble. I'm definitely not the best roofer, even though I do really enjoy them. I've learned a couple of tips and tricks from different simmers, especially Little Simsy. She has taught me a lot when it comes to making roofs. She makes a Builder's Bible YouTube video here that kind of explains a couple of these things. I think it is absolutely worth checking out if you're into building in The Sims. Anyway, I finally come to this decision. The roof's a little funny in the front. It's like nothing I've ever done before in The Sims. I think it kind of matches the style of the area though. I wish I knew what this style was called, but I don't, unfortunately. I think it ends up okay. It's still a little, something's off. But I didn't know what to do to fix it, so I left it alone. In fact, I'm just now noticing that the columns in the front of the house are totally different than the columns I used in the back porch. I might go out and change that before I upload it to the gallery. But anyway, here I am. I'm just changing a couple of the windows. I wanted them to be white. The green windows are very cute, but I was afraid of them messing with my interior colors since the interior of those windows are also green. I really wish EA had given us the option to have the exteriors be green and the interior color be white instead, or a different color, but alas, they didn't. I really wanted this house to have a side kind of yard, I suppose. It's not really a backyard, but I really wanted to put that there because the sim that I envision lives in this house is an elderly sim. Her name is Shelly. I do a creative sim on them and I'll be uploading that soon. But Shelly lives here with her granddaughter, and her granddaughter is a toddler, so there's not really much toddler stuff since I was trying to keep base game. But Shelly is a gardener. She's actually a botanist and she is in the scientist track of the gardening career. So there's a couple planters that I end up putting in the backyard. I wish there would have been more room for some planters, but I was trying to keep the price down on this house as well as fit within the lot. Here I am, I'm kind of working on the floor plan. So originally there I kind of wanted to put a closet at the front of the house, but I ended up changing that because I was trying to stay to base game. I didn't want to add too many items from anything else. The floor plan's a little wonky here in the back. But I was really wanting to make enough room to make this house a 2-bedroom house so that Shelly and her granddaughter could both live here instead of making it a 1. I suppose that the Streamlet Single name doesn't really fit anymore since there is 2 bedrooms, but it'll have to do. And that little area off near the side porch is supposed to be an office. It ends up being kind of a mix of different things, so it's more of like a storage room. I don't include it in this build because there's nothing really that special about it, and you could definitely change that to be another bedroom or switch the bedrooms around if you wanted to, or do whatever with it that you would like to. Something that I certainly need to look into in the future and work on is not bouncing around my builds so much. I am all over the place, but sometimes I just think about something that should go in a room, or I see it and I want to put it there. I had quite a time in this room trying to figure out what rug I wanted to use. I end up choosing this one for now, but I think I changed the swatch later to fit more to the style of the house. I kind of go a little overboard with that dark brown color in this house, so I wanted to change that. And right now I'm just working on this living room. I wanted them to have a nice living space to live in, somewhere that Shelly could entertain guests or friends or co-workers, because I would think that Shelly would have a lot of co-workers that come to this house. Again, Shelly is an elderly sim that I envision lived in this house. Of course, any sims could live in this house. You could definitely put just a single family here, or even a new sim here, although they wouldn't have the money to live here yet. Of course, I would love to see anything that any of you guys could do with this house, so if you do end up renovating my renovation of this house, please do tag me in it. I'll have my handle to my Sims gallery in the description, so if you want to tag it based off of my username and then renovation, that would be awesome. I would love to see that. So here I am just kind of working on the curtains that I was going to put in this room. I kind of wanted to use that little curtain, but it doesn't really fit very well. And looking back now, I wish I would have left those paintings like they were. I included a movie painting there because I was thinking that Shelly, the grandmother who lives here, that she was kind of into movies, so she would have a couple posters from different movies around her house. And here I am going on to the kitchen. The kitchen ends up being pretty small, and it was about here that I realized that I did not leave enough room to put a dining room in this house, so maybe that's what you could change that storage room into if you wanted to. So I end up putting it in the kitchen. My grandparents have their dining table in their kitchen, so I don't think it's too much of a stretch to think that another house would as well. I end up moving that to the side and having them both face towards each other. I'm not sure that Sims can actually use that. I'll have to playtest that before I put it on the gallery. But for right now, I think it looks good. I kind of wish I would have left it like that, but that's okay. Anyway, so now I'm looking for a plant to put on this table. I thought this plant was so cute. Looking at it now, I'm kind of afraid it might not be base game. Actually, it looks like it is. That must have came in an update because I do not remember that being in the game, but I love that little plant. I love plants anyway. I have plants all over my room, so I always include them in my builds as much as I can. Right now I'm working out the cabinets, and I think cabinets can really make a kitchen in The Sims. Sometimes my kitchens are looking so bland until I put the cabinets in, and I really had a fun time putting those together there. So now I'm working on Shelly's bedroom. This would be the master bedroom. It is rather small to be a master bedroom. There's just not much room in this house or on the lot to make any big changes. Her room's kind of cramped, and I have a bad habit of making rooms a little over cluttered and putting too much in them. But I did playtest her room. She is able to sleep in the bed. She's able to move around and use the dresser and the mirror, so I think that's okay. Of course, if you wanted to, you could always extend the house out. I think you could extend it one more to the back wall, but I'm not sure. Something I like doing sometimes is when I have not much room, I'll put a double bed kind of in the middle. You can actually put them on 3 spaces. Sims will still use them. You can still have 2 Sims sleep in the bed. But it doesn't leave much room to put these little side tables. The ones that came with seasons are perfect, but I didn't really want to use them in this build, so I ended up turning that one to the side. Of course, in reality, you probably couldn't open those drawers, but this is The Sims, so it's okay. And here I am, I'm adding those same curtains. Like I said earlier, I think I went a little overboard with them. I thought these sunflowers were so cute in this room, so I wanted to keep them here. and have some candles and the little apple picture. Something I really wish EA would add is possibly some like frames that we can put actual pictures in, because I definitely would have put a picture of either Shelly's son, Cole, or her granddaughter, Rachel, in it. But I ended up not, of course I can't do that because EA doesn't include that, but I really wish they would. So I just put the apple picture there. One of these lights I end up deleting later. I realized that I went a little overboard with the lights, but I really kind of like them at the baseboard of the bed. I thought that was kind of cool. I've seen that in hotels before, not really in houses, but I'm sure somewhere someone does it. So I end up with this little space here that I don't really know what to do with, so I end up making it a closet, and I put the toy chest in it. I don't think that the toddlers can actually go in there and grab toys from the chest, which is unfortunate, but of course you can still open them and then put them in their inventory and then they can use it, and that might be better anyhow, because Sims have a really bad habit of putting toys away, which I guess is sometimes good, but if you try to use them as decoration options, they will clean them up, and that's kind of frustrating. Of course, I don't do that in this house, mainly because I was still trying to keep the price a little low, even though the price ends up being a little expensive in the end. Something that I would have loved to put there is one of the reading posters, and I'm kind of wondering why I didn't now, but I guess the plumb bob's okay too. So here I am working on my little closet. It's not the same wallpaper as the rest of the room. I thought that was more realistic, that maybe the closet's been there longer than the room has been wallpapered for Rachel, the toddler, so I just done the yellow kind of paint for that closet. So here I am just cluttering up the toddler's room a little bit more to make it look a little more lived in. That's something I like to do with my builds, is I like them looking like someone actually is living in them. I don't like them looking too pristine. Most of the time I don't really do builds like this. I do builds more often in like a contemporary style, or I like building in apartments, or in a set style. My favorite style personally is an industrial mixed with kind of bohemian, and this house is neither of those things really, but it didn't really fit the characters I had in mind to do my personal style, and I always like creating my houses kind of tailored toward the Sims that I have in mind for them. Looking now, I realize that those lights that I'm using, those saucer lights, they are not with base game, but I do not end up leaving them in here, at least I don't think I do. I might have left one by accident, and if that did happen to happen, I will be sure to remove it before I upload this house to the gallery. I do go back through and I change a couple of these rugs to be a green color instead. I think I went a little overboard with the browns in this house. I wish I would have included a couple more options. Especially looking back now, that pink towel looks really good, so maybe I should have added some pink to the house. I'm not sure. I might go back through and renovate this house again at some point and use other packs. I've kind of thought about doing a save file for The Sims. If I ever do, I would like to kind of include this house and Shelly and her granddaughter. I think their story's so cute. Again, I will have them uploaded later onto the gallery. And I would totally include them. But to do that, I would like to go back in and kind of change this house to include some other items from different packs. So here I am just putting some lights in. After this, I go down into the garden. I kind of clean up that area. And I would leave that in. There'll be screenshots at the end too to show you different things. I cut out a few more things in the build that I didn't want to kind of include, kind of cutting down the time. It took about an hour and a half to do this build originally, but I got the video down to about 16 minutes, I believe, right now. It might be a little shorter when you guys see it. But anyway, here I am cluttering up the kitchen a little bit. And I kind of put these little plants here, a little cookie jar. I thought the cookie jar was really cute to include in this house, especially in kind of a grandmother's house. I kind of love it. I feel like maybe I could imagine the toddler going and like sneaking into the cookie jar, especially when she gets a little older, that she can reach it. That would be so cute. And here I am in that little storage room that I was talking about. It does have a washer and dryer in it, as well as the desk and a computer. I do think a computer is essential in this house since Shelly is a botanist, but of course if you have different Sims, you could change that up too. A painting easel would be perfect there as well. Maybe some pet toys or one of the cat trees would be cool too. Whatever you wanted to do with it. And next I am about to go out into the yard, I believe. For the yard, I did use or keep in a lot of the foliage that came with the original build. I didn't want to change it up too much. I kind of wanted the house to still look like its former self, although it ends up looking a lot different than what it began looking. But I did want to have its little it's kind of some styles that are the same as the original house that was here. And I guess by style I do mean those plants. So I have actually never gotten to use these tiles before in that side porch area, and I'm so glad I could use them here. They finally worked. Usually they don't work in my builds, they don't look right, but they looked right here, and I'm so glad I got to use them. I guess they kind of fit the bricking that's on the side of the house that kind of has that gray piece, so I'm glad I got to use that there. And I'm just putting some trees in. I do end up going a little overboard with this tree. I end up changing one of them because I include them 3 times in the build. They end up being a little too matchy in the end, so I add one of those flower evergreen trees. I think they're so cute, and I think they match here. And if you kind of look around in the environment, there's another one in the environment somewhere, and I like matching the outsides of my houses to the rest of the neighborhood, especially when I'm in the manage world option of the Sims. I like being able to look down and having everything kind of blend together, so I don't like using trees that don't match. For example, I wouldn't use a palm tree in this house. And here I am, I'm adding a chess table out front. Shelly's actually a genius sim, so I thought she would like to have a chess table to work on her logic skill. And I didn't really have room to include any like seating in the front, I didn't think, without it looking a little strange. But of course, if you download this house and want some seating there, feel free to change that. Again, I would love to see anything that any of you were able to do with this house. This house is one of my favorites in EA for some reason. I can't really explain it. I don't know why. I think it might have been one of the first house that I played in the first time, so that might be why. So I like seeing everybody's recreations of this. I know Simlicy done it, and she done a side porch kind of area. I kind of got a little bit of inspiration off of that, but I think ours look pretty different. I might like hers a little bit better, but that's okay. And here I am. I'm just fixing up the trees, and that is about it. Of course, I will include some screenshots of the build at the end, and I hope that you guys enjoyed. Goodbye! YouTube's so much scarier than I thought it was. Is seriously much scarier.